The entire school was thrown into shock when the news was finally confirmed. Chen Du was one of the rare few, 1 in 10,000, officially listed on the Blue Star Youth list. The announcement spread across the campus like lightning, leaving students frozen in disbelief. In that moment, everyone finally understood just how powerful Chen Du truly was. From the strength he had displayed, it was clear that he no longer needed any kind of enhancement to defeat Feng Rui. In a single instant, everything was overturned. The class that had once been mocked and dismissed as weak was completely humiliated. Because of this sudden turn of events, Chen Du was immediately summoned by the principal and instructed to report to the meeting room. There was an important matter to discuss. After the meeting, he was informed that he would officially return to the morning class. Teacher Ling would personally explain what Chen Du had learned the previous day and oversee his formal transfer. When the teacher who had belittled him earlier heard this news, they collapsed into a chair, shock and anxiety written plainly across their face. Inside the meeting room, the students respectfully greeted the mayor and the principal. The guests were then introduced. Senior students from Liang City No. 2 High School and Liang City No. 1 High School. Among them were Lu Bo and Morit, both well-known figures on the youth list. For a brief moment, their eyes met Chen Du's. None of them recognized one another, yet an unmistakable tension filled the air the instant their gazes crossed. The mayor spoke directly and laid out the plan. 100 cities under the Purple Cloud District would hold a large-scale competition for high school seniors. Each city would send its 3 strongest students, selected based on official data recorded at 6 o'clock the previous evening. The tournament would be overseen by a martial artist above level 15 and hosted at City No. 1 High School. The mayor went on to explain that the top 10 participants of the 100 Cities War would receive significant rewards, bonus points for the college entrance exam and substantial cash prizes, starting at 10 points and 100,000 yuan. As Chen Du listened, his expression grew serious. He was beginning to grasp the true weight of this competition. The mayor asked who was willing to participate. Morit questioned why virtual combat would not be used. The mayor explained that real combat was far more effective, and martial artists would be present to ensure safety. Participants would wear specialized protective suits and use standardized life intensity levels. Even so, the danger could not be completely eliminated. In his mind, Chen Du calculated quickly. At his current level, he was already within the top 20 of the entire district, and with his rapid progress, reaching the top 3 was not impossible. The mayor added that even failing to reach the top 10 would still be valuable, as the experience would allow them to measure their strength against their peers. There was no need to place excessive pressure on themselves. Without hesitation, Chen Du declared that he would participate. Lu Bo and Morit followed, both choosing to join as well. The mayor was pleased and emphasized that true heroes are forged in youth. He informed them that they would be notified once the departure schedule was confirmed and dismissed them to return to class. As Chen Du walked back to the classroom, he remained deep in thought. He knew that if he could place within the top 3 of the 100 Cities War, his parents would no longer have to exhaust themselves working from morning until night. With that in mind, his goal became crystal clear. No matter what, he had to reach the top 3. When he arrived at the Hongji class, he immediately noticed that the desks and seats were no longer assigned by name, unlike his previous class. He sat down in an empty seat, but before he could settle in, a large student suddenly shouted at him and ordered him to move. The student grabbed Chen Du by the shoulder and demanded to know who he was and whether he was worthy of sitting there. Chen Du looked up at the towering figure and couldn't help thinking it felt like a bear had wandered into the classroom. The student's name was Pang Hu, one of the top 10 students in the Hongji class. Chen Du slammed his hand down on the desk, a quiet but unmistakable warning. He met Pang Hu's gaze head-on, fearless, which clearly caught Pang Hu off guard. Chen Du couldn't help wondering what era this was, and whether such blatant bullying still existed in schools. Before the situation could escalate further, a hand suddenly appeared between them. Morit stepped in calmly and reminded Pang Hu that it was Chen Du's first day and that he wasn't yet familiar with the rules of the Hongji class. Chen Du quietly assessed Pang Hu's strength and realized that his life intensity was at least 2 levels higher. Pang Hu sneered and remarked that Chen Du had simply gotten lucky, allowing him to walk away for now. After Pang Hu left, Morit explained the class system. In the Hongji class, power hierarchy was determined by seat number. Every month, real combat battles were held to rank students, and those in the bottom 10 were forced to stand throughout class for an entire month. Only then did Chen Du fully understand how brutal the competition within the honors class truly was. Although the seat rankings for the month had already been set, Chen Du was informed that he would be allowed to issue a challenge to obtain a seat number. When he asked whether there were benefits beyond simply sitting, he was told that rankings determined the monthly resource subsidy. The higher the rank, the greater the rewards. That made the challenge worthwhile. When the instructor arrived, Chen Du was ordered to report to the combat room. The rules were explained clearly. A challenger could issue up to 3 challenges, and the seat number would be decided through real combat results. Without hesitation, Chen Du raised his hand and declared that he would challenge the 10th seat. The instructor froze, and the entire class erupted in shock. On his very first day, he was challenging a top 10 position. To many, it seemed like reckless confidence. Yet for Chen Du, the reason was simple. The resource subsidy for 10th place was 50% higher than that of 11th. The risk was worth taking. Pang Hu stepped forward with a laugh, mocking Chen Du and telling him not to cry when he lost. Chen Du calmly confirmed whether Pang Hu was indeed ranked 10th, and Pang Hu answered without hesitation. The instructor ordered Pang Hu to put on his protective gear and enter the arena. As the instructor watched Chen Du, he couldn't help thinking that the boy seemed overly eager to prove himself. But sometimes, it was precisely this kind of hardship that forged a true warrior. Inside the arena, Chen Du and Pang Hu stood facing each other. At the signal to begin, the battle officially started, the first true trial of Chen Du within the world of the Hongji class, a place where strength alone ruled everything.